Now, Chapter 2, revision in Unit 4, explore the roles of tour operators and travel agents. First of all, we have marketing services. What are the marketing services? Before we enter to the types of tour operators and travel agents. Large number of travel and tourism organizations are involved in the marketing of products and services. Okay, and we know they can do it either directly or indirectly. As mentioned before, many organizations are involved in the provision of marketing services, even in the simplest form. If I'm going to talk in the simplest form, we've mentioned in Chapter 1, for example, hotels stocking racks of information leaflets for tourist attractions in the area. We have travel operators printing discount vouchers for a local food and beverage outlet. Now we're going to talk about the international tour operators. The first thing is a tour operator combines tour and travel components to create a package holiday. They are responsible for arranging the transport, the accommodation, the leisure activities, and then make up a package holiday. What else they're supposed to do? They work with suppliers and principals from the industry, okay, in order to obtain their products in large quantities, such as airline seats, hotel stays, places, excursion, car rentals. The third point is that by this way, tour operators obtain these products that give them a wholesale function because they acquire these various components of a package holiday. For example, like 25 double rooms in a hotel for the first week in August. They can have 50 economy class airline seats on a charter flight to a certain destination in which a hotel is located, okay? A 54-seater coach to transfer passengers from the airport to the hotel. They can have also 50 places on an excursion to the local tourist attraction. The fourth thing an international tour operator does, that having accumulated all these products together, the tour operator bundles them as a package, makes this package available to the customer later on. How does he do it? By marketing and distributing the package to the customers in their own country. Marketing and distributing the package to the customers. The fifth thing, there are different types of tour operators. We have to know that there are many operators, they specialize in specific destinations. For example, some tour operators, they are offering packages for a certain area or a certain country or a certain destination. And some tour operators, they are specialized in a specific activity, okay? They make packages for a certain activity or specific activity. Now, types of tour operators. We have 5. The first one, mass market tour operator. 2, inbound tour operators. 3, outbound tour operators. 4, domestic tour operators. And 5, specialist tour operators. Number 1, mass market tour operator. They operate within the mainstream of the travel and tourism industry. It means that they tend to offer the traditional sun, sea, and sand package, okay? And cater to very large numbers of tourists in popular destinations. So this, what the mass market tour operator does. He focuses on the traditional sun, sea, and sand package, okay? As they cater very large numbers of tourists. So they think of really popular destinations for them to go to. For example, traditional Spanish coasts, an appeal in the European market. Now, mass market tour operators, they tend to be the most recognizable names in the industry. For example, TUI Travel PLC. It's the world's leading leisure travel company, and it operates over 180 countries with more than 30 million customers using 200 different brand names. This is the mass market tour operator. Okay, what do they tend to offer? Mostly the traditional sun, sea, and sand package. Of course, they focus on very large numbers of tourists in popular destinations. They tend to be the most recognizable names in the industry. For example, TUI Travel PLC, which is the world's leading leisure travel company. Number two, inbound tour operators. Inbound tourism, again, means when we get visitors into our own country. Okay? Now, inbound tourism, it's a type of tourism which brings visitors into a specific tourism receiving areas, specific destination. Okay? Therefore, inbound tour operator is the type of organization that produces packages. Its goal and aim is bringing overseas visitors into a certain destination. What about number three, outbound tour operators? It's the opposite. In the same way like inbound tourism is described, in outbound tourism, outbound tour operator is based in the tourist's home country, offering holiday packages to destinations overseas. Okay, for example, in Egypt, tour operator or outbound tour operator in Egypt, all he does, he offers holiday packages to destinations overseas. For example, we have the Club Med. Club Med is one example of an outbound tour operator, and it has branches across the world. Number four, domestic tour operators. Domestic tour operator, they specialize in putting together packages for the home market within the country. Okay? It means that those packages should appeal to the people living in the country. Number five, specialist tour operators. Specialist tour operators, they are specialized by either destination or activity or theme or transport or age group. Okay, destination, they might be specialized in a certain destination like Austria Travel tour operator, holidays to Australia. Activity, like skiing. Example, Ski Solutions specializes in skiing holidays. Theme, responsible travel, specialize in sustainable tourism packages. Transport, like CoachTrips.com, specializes in holidays by coach and by age. For example, Evergreen Excursions, they are specialized in tours for seniors, okay, in South Africa. Or 20s, tour operators called 20s, and they are specialized in clubbing holidays for young people in their 20s. Now we're going to talk about the operating characteristic of tour operators. Large number of small-scale tour operators within the industry are available. Again, we have small-scale tour operators, okay? Small scale. They are a lot. So when we say, while we have large number of small-scale tour operators in the industry, the package holiday market, the market itself, it's dominated by who? Not the large number of small-scale tour operators. It's dominated by small number of large internationally operating tour operators. Tour operators, they work within the private sector. Why do they work within the private sector? Because they are profit seeking. They need to make money to survive. And of course, through these strategies, tour operators, they achieve considerable buying power, and control over their suppliers. Suppliers are the principals, okay? Control over the suppliers as well as the distribution of their product. There are two things when it comes to operating characteristic of tour operators. We have the horizontal integration and the vertical integration. Okay, first of all, the horizontal integration. When this happens, it happens in the same level of supply chain. Okay, and if we remember the supply chain, we have the principals, then tour operators, then travel agents or selling online, and then the customers. Okay, now horizontal integration means principals with principals, tour operators work with tour operators, and so on. Now, horizontal integration, it's a situation when companies, they join together. The main goal when joining together is for the industry to grow, to make the business bigger, to remove the competition, and to increase economies of scale. Okay, again, horizontal integration happens in the same level of supply chain. In this situation, companies, they join together for a certain goal, for a certain aim. First, remove competition, then increase economies of scale and increase their purchasing power and make their business bigger. This when they join together or merge at the same level in the tourism distribution or supply chain. What about the vertical integration? It's totally the opposite of horizontal integration. Now, vertical integration, they don't join together or merge together, okay? It happens when one of the components take over businesses at different levels. For example, tour operators could take over the business of one of the principals, or the tour operator could take over a travel agency, the business of a travel agency. So, vertical integration happens with the takeover of businesses at different levels of the distribution chain. We have two kinds of vertical integration: backward integration, forward integration. Now, backward integration, example, accommodation and transport, means tour operator takes over the business of hotels, okay, or coach organizations. Forward integration, example, is travel agents. They take over the business of a travel agency. Now, the main advantages are to control over supplies of quality, in terms of quality, availability, access, and price. Okay, they control over all these things. So it's totally the opposite of horizontal integration when joining together and merging together to make their industry grow and the business bigger. Vertical integration is a significant feature among leading tour operators now. It has increased. Integration practices also led to increased specialization and development of niche operators and niche products. Now there are specialized tour operators, specialized products. Small and medium-sized operators, they have to compete with larger companies now. And vertically integrated operators, they capture a large proportion of mainstream package holidays. Okay, independent operators focus on specialization. When they are independent, they focus on specialization. But when they're large, what do? they focus on mainstream package holidays. Independent tour operators compete by providing high quality, specialist, and tailor-made services. Now, let's go to the mainstream tour operators and independent tour operators. Mainstream tour operators, of course, versus independent. Mainstream versus independent tour operators. Okay, what do? The mainstream tour operators. First, they carry high volumes of tourists. And more destinations now in developing countries are available. They operate on low margins and high volumes. They also continue to sell mainly on price. So they stay profitable. They serve customers that are highly price sensitive and also low spending. They serve both customers. They also tend to channel their clients and market their destination through travel agents that they own. They also focus on a standardized and basic product, which is the sun, sand, and sea products. Okay? They also carry large volumes, and they have power in tourism destinations dependent on them for visitors. So because they carry large volumes, they have power in tourism destinations that depend on them to bring tourists and visitors to their place. Now the mainstream tour operators are starting to introduce less standardized and more tailor-made holiday options. They want to reflect changing consumer demands, and they want to offer more opportunities for local suppliers. They want to do both. Now, there are standardized demands that a tourist wants, okay? They want to change it, okay? They want to change their demands, and by changing their demands, they want them to start looking or using or purchasing things from the local destinations they're visiting. So they're trying to offer opportunities for local suppliers. Then we have that they prefer trading partners for local suppliers because of the volumes of tourists they provide. What about independent tour operators? Independent tour operators, they're the opposite of mainstream. Mainstream, they carry high volumes of tourists. It's not the same for independent tour operators. They carry small volumes. They often serve the off-the-beaten-track destinations to a fast-growing consumer segment that desires tailor-made and high-quality tourism products. Then we have that they serve consumers that are less price sensitive and higher spending customers. They serve both also. This is common. They started increasing their specialization, and they started adopting niche products in order to distinguish themselves from inexpensive mainstream operators. They're also interested in ethical products. Okay? And this interest is growing. And customers interested in ethical tourism are often the better off sophisticated travelers using independent and niche tour operators rather than mainstream. Now, ethical tourism, I'm going to summarize the meaning of ethical tourism. We're going to say it's about thinking about the consequences of one's action in a certain place or certain destination. They support the local businesses. They reduce waste. They're very eco-friendly, and they use eco-friendly transportation. They respect the local cultures. Now, these are the tourists that are looking for or interested in ethical products. Generally, the independent tour operators, they do not use integrated high street travel agents. but independent agents and direct sell. So they do not, the independent tour operators, they don't need to use integrated high street travel agents, but independent agents and direct sell.